Welcome everybody to a new episode of Flower Circus Talks. Today we're not going to talk about flowers. Of course, we're going to talk about flowers, but we're going to talk about trends, packaging, and more like that. So it's going to be a lot of fun. We've got a specialist for that. It's Birgit Seemann. She's in love with flowers already since she was a little kid. She worked already in the flower business for many, many years. She worked over 20 years for Bloemen 2000. It's one of the biggest chains of flower shops in Germany. After that, she started her own company. And in that role, we're going to interview her. So let's welcome Birgit into the live stream. Birgit, welcome.
Hi, John.
How are you?
I'm doing very well, thank you.
Okay.
Please be invited. It's an honor to be there in your fabulous circus. So I'm really pleased to have a nice evening or afternoon with you.
Yeah, no, thank you for joining the show. I see you've got a great presentation standing next to you.
Yes, it's an attempt. At the moment, I do not have everything in here because I have not been in the Netherlands for quite a while. So due to Corona, I got stuck in Germany. Colleagues took care of sending me the latest new items, so I'm happy to show them here.
Yeah. So Willie is saying hello. Willie, hello. Peter is saying, you go, girl, looking smashing as always. I think Birgit went to the hairdresser especially for this.
No, honestly, I went to the hairdresser, so if anybody's going to ask me, yes, I did cut my hair weeks ago already. Was getting fed of coloring it all the time, and now I'm found out I'm old enough to wear my gray hair, so I'm going to stick to that.
Yeah. But if somebody can't say anything about hair, then it's both me and Peter. So.
Well, but sometimes Peter can touch some hair.
Yeah. So, but like you said, you couldn't go to Holland for a while. I mean, nobody could travel for a long time. But still, you got some beautiful products. But first of all, can you tell a bit more about yourself for the people who don't know you yet, or?
I was, as you introduced me already, I was born in the northern part of Germany. I was always spending my spare time with my parents at my grandfather's farm in the northern part nearby the Baltic Sea. So I was really very sure I was going to be a farmer at that time. Centuries ago, it was quite difficult for a woman to do so. So all the guys were just standing behind hidden somewhere, waiting that something would happen to me and they could help me. So I decided I stopped with that and went into the flower business. So I was educated as a horticultural practitioner and also studied horticultural production.
Yeah.
Then I went directly to Bloemen 2000, which is, as you said already, the largest flower shop chain in Germany with now more than 200 shops. I was working there for a long time, being responsible in sales. I have owned 5 flower stores as well on my own. And later I was asked to go back to the head office to advise, assist, help Bloemen 2000 develop new concepts. And one of the first concepts we did at that time was together with Peter Landmann. So we know each other already for a very long time. We developed a packaging concept, a gift packaging concept for Bloemen 2000. This is still, as far as I know, the one and only in the world flower store who has a complete gift packaging concept behind the cash counter.
Yeah.
When anybody is coming into the shop, buying a simple bunch of flowers or a simple potted plant, they are asked whether they are going to be, or whether they would like to buy a bag in yellow or green. So they're not asked whether they want to buy a bag at all, but only whether it should be yellow or green. And then most of the people, thank God, decide they would take at least one of the 2 colors. So this is where my gift packaging story began. At that time, 2007, Deco-Wraps was invented in the Netherlands.
Yeah.
That is from 1999, founded in the US in Miami. And Robert Katan and Peter Landmann came to Blume 2000 trying to sell packaging at that time. And that's where we met for the first time, Robert and me. Peter I knew already from former times at Blume 2000. And that was the beginning where we said, okay, gift packaging gives an added value, gives us the opportunity and the chance to get out of being compared to anything else in the market.
Yeah.
That's where I got stuck. So I'm very happy and pleased that still today I can work for Decoreps after beginning my own company in 2012. And Decoreps is my largest customer today, and I'm very pleased that I'm in this family of Decoreps.
Yeah, I think it's underestimated, the packaging of flowers. I mean, there are still florists who think that yesterday's newspaper is good enough.
Yes, I mean it is, as long as the news are still valid, what you can read. But what we found out, and that's interesting, of course, as well, we tried to have several packagings which looked like a newspaper.
Yeah.
But very difficult because if you want to sell it to any retailer or mass market, then you're getting in trouble as long as you are not choosing the correct newspaper print. So what we did at that time was that we began a kind of storytelling on a newspaper. So we were telling stories about peonias, how they have grown, hydrangeas, how they need to be handled, and all these information.
Wow.
So the consumer at the end could read what was inside and learn something about the flowers he was buying. So that's what we started centuries ago already, and what we see is now coming back. So sometimes we are a little bit too early.
Yeah, that's what happens sometimes, that you've got a good idea, but the market is not ready for it yet. I mean, now everybody's telling about the storytelling and things like that. And yeah, to put it on the wrapping paper or on the packaging, it's a great idea. I mean, if you don't have the time to tell the story, people can read it at home.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Helps you, of course, because you do not have to have too much stuff in stores. So the information can be by reading it and not by asking somebody. And
Yeah.
it's a nice way, and it's something you can really also have as a kind of added value as a gift.
Yeah. Yeah, because that's really what I think. When I started also centuries ago in the flower business, everybody said packaging cannot cost more than flowers, or has to be as cheap as possible. And then luckily, a lot of florists already see that it works. Some retailers as well. It can add a lot of value to the bouquet as well.
Agreed, totally agreed. What I think is so important is the packaging is that normally when you say I'm going to buy a bunch of tulips,
Yeah.
Then you're doing it for yourself, mainly if you're going to a retailer or to a supermarket or anything like that. And if you think, it should be a gift, I'm going to a local florist. So I think the packaging ideas that are valid for supermarkets and retailers is that with a very simple idea, working with a trend that is absolutely trendy at that moment, of course, you can give an enhancing moment to the things you are doing. And it gives you the opportunity to give it to somebody else with love, with the packaging, and then it's done. And it doesn't have to be a 25 euro bouquet, but still you are able with the packaging to make a gift out of a simple bouquet or bunch or potted plant.
Yeah.
I think that's very important. And of course, if you're thinking of the total appearance in a store, what you can generate is also that you have a perfect presentation. You can show price points very easily. You can show, if you see it with the discounters here, where they are marking when it has been shipped, for example. If you just add very tiny, small items to the packaging regarding color, then it's also clear when it has been shipped. So there are so many opportunities, small ones, and at the end, what I always think is the most important thing, a gift packaging or somebody who's selling any packaging is only a servant to the one who is selling a flower bouquet. So we at DecoReps really believe that we are serving the ones who are in need of selling a flower. So
Yeah,
it's not the packaging what we sell. It's the added value to the bouquet, to the flower, and of course to the end consumer.
yeah, yeah. I mean, look at how much time in a perfume shop people take to wrap it so it looks nice. Uh, for a man, that's a terrible thing. You want to buy something quickly, and then you have to wait for half an hour until they packed it. But it makes it really special when you give it away. And yeah, you with DecoReps are doing the same for flowers. Actually, you also developed for a cacti grower a nice concept as well. If we're talking about added value.
Yeah, that's true. I got in touch with for me, it's the famous cacti grower ever. They are producing on Tenerife, so their crassula have colors which are really incredible, and you never see them anywhere. They asked me to try to help them to develop a kind of concept. Also, that I mean, cacti and succulents are not new, but they're extremely trendy. And if a product is trendy, then
Yeah,
of course you have to take care that it is also promoted trendy. And nobody ever thought of having cacti, for example, as a Christmas gift. So we said, okay, we're going to have a Christmas line with nice ceramics or nice covers or whatever, but really showing that this is also an item that can be given for Christmas with love, even if it hurts maybe sometimes
yeah,
because of the needles, but that's something that can be done easily. What we
yeah,
also do is regarding the development we see here, due to the very hot summers, for example, we have now lots of waste in the shops. Flowers are dying within 2 days in the supermarkets. It's a trendy item as well, and where we developed, for example, a kind of concept which we named Best Trends,
yeah,
with very small, tiny cacti with nice tags where we only said, "I'm gonna survive," or uh, maybe, yeah, that's also something. Just giving some funny gadget tags to show that it can be a gift. It can be sold very well during the hot summer season. There will be no waste in the shops, and
yeah.
so that's extremely interesting with them. Yes.
And it's a very good message that I can survive or I will survive. I mean, there's a lot of people who are afraid of buying plants because they say they always die or I always do something wrong.
Yeah.
And just to point out the strong points of the cacti, that's great. I mean, that's what I think we have to do more because people are afraid of getting plants and flowers in because they will die soon or they don't know how to take care of them. The packaging is there to tell people what to do for it and how to handle it so they can enjoy the product much longer.
Yeah, exactly. I think that's a big opportunity we have, and I'm very happy that I'm in the position that I can combine working, for example, for a grower and a packaging company. So I can combine my knowledge and I can combine the experience I have,
Yeah.
and give that to the grower as well. And of course, it's a win-win situation for both sides. So I'm blessed, honestly, to be able to do so.
Yeah, and then people who can work with you as well. I mean, because you've got the experience from all sides, you can connect easier than a grower who has a good idea and he can't reach out to an export company or a retailer or whatever, and the other way around.
I think, I mean, a grower really has to be passionate about the things what he's growing or breeding or whatever, and that's his focus.
Yeah,
And he should do so. I mean, he has to be, and he should do so. And I think it's extremely nice if growers realize that sometimes they could need some help in selling their flowers or marketing their flowers with very little added things that you can give to the item and make a gift out of it, or a complete line, or have a complete new booth at an IPM or whatever.
yeah,
it's very simple, And with that item, for example, we said, okay, it has to be a cheap solution. We still have his logo on it. On the inside, we have also added some information, and it's got this kind of peak that you can just carry it home. That you can carry it home without getting hurt.
Yeah, it's a small detail, but it really helps.
Yeah.
And the nice thing, you don't get soil when you're shopping as well. Like this one as well. It's wrapped. It looks nice, and you don't have soil in your shopping cart as well.
Exactly. This is really with a kind of newspaper print on it. So we made it. The print idea is like telling a story about how it could be, how you have to handle it, how you have to take care of, and if you unfold it, you have this kind of newspaper about the Krassela from the company Hohn, and it's a nice idea, and I think especially for the do-it-yourself market, it has been a good development.
Yeah, there's also a trend going on, of course, in Europe that people buy a lot of different small succulents and make their own landscape with it.
Yeah.
That's a really trend going on. So if people can read more about it or direct them to the website or Facebook or whatever, I mean, that's great.
Mm-hmm.
Actually, we've got Cookie is saying hello. Hello, Cookie. Thank you for watching. Willie's asking, are clients asking for less plastic?
Yeah, Willie, that's a very interesting question. We see, of course, a development regarding sustainability. I mean, if we're talking about trends, we always have to make the difference between short-term trends and long-term trends. A short-term trend is usually a trend that lasts approximately a maximum of 5 years. These trends are mainly focused on colors, on patterns, these kind of different influences we have in the market. The other things, the middle term and the long term trends, are mainly coming either from the furniture industry, or they are coming from the demographic developments we have. So from the furniture industry, we are quite often getting information about materials. The sustainable trend really came out of that as well. And the long-term trends are, for example, development of age. Is in the future the average age above 70 or above 80? So there are other movements in that direction as well. So when we're talking about trends in the packaging, what we see is colors are getting less spreading, they are becoming softer, they are becoming more calm, and the material moves extremely from all plastic solutions towards paper. This is on the one side a nice trend, of course, but the question, I hope not to say too often but now, but it is not correct. I mean, we don't have trees forever. So the complete focus on paper solutions cannot be our future. So what we also have to keep in mind are always kind of sustainable plastic solutions, biological plastic solutions, sugarcane, LDPE, all these things that should be in the market as well to have an average useful use of all the materials we can have.
Yeah.
And the paper, and that's always a nice thing, people are asking for a lot of paper sleeves, but the paper should be waterproof and the paper should be clear.
Yeah.
So that's a challenge we are meeting at the moment, that everybody wants paper with the indications that normally plastic has. And that's not easy.
Actually, a few growers in Holland already tried paper sleeves. And most of them went back to plastic sleeves because when the flowers arrived, especially packed in boxes, the paper was not looking nice anymore, and the whole presentation wasn't nice because the paper either tear down or it wasn't really nice, to be honest. And that's why some of them already got back to plastic again.
Of course, it depends on the paper you are using. We are used to use wet strength natural craft paper normally.
Yeah.
Do not have these problems. We have made several tests now, especially for the German market, because mainly one big retailer is at the moment switching completely to paper solutions in potted plants and in flowers as well. We have good experience, especially for plants like oxalis, for example, where we see it has to be watered quite ahead before being shipped out.
Yeah.
And we had no problems with that. Also with bedding plants, we had no problems. So that's the one thing. The other thing is, of course, I mean, if you use paper, you have to be aware that it will look like paper at the end. And paper is wrinkling.
Yeah.
So this is a kind of development what we see at the moment as well, that at the beginning everybody was requesting that it was really sturdy and upright and everything was perfect, although the flowers are also not perfect. But for now it is that we see that they are accepting that paper, of course, is wrinkling, whatever.
Yeah.
And we are pleased to work on so many paper solutions for the time being, but as I said already, it cannot be paper forever and for everything.
No, that's the thing. Willie is saying at least the BOPP plastic is recyclable. I
Yes,
think,
but it depends, of course, and that's also something which is interesting to work on at the moment, that you really have to take care in which country, which material is recyclable, yes or no. So that's where we have a great guy at Decorabs who is really deep in the sustainable area, name it like that, and that I've taking care that we are really well informed about everything in the market, which material can be used and is allowed to be recycled in which way. And here as well, I mean, we have the yellow bin, we have the blue, we have the green, we have the rest file. So you have to study at the moment to know where you are allowed to put the recycled materials in.
Yeah. I think also in Holland there's a rainbow of bins outside, what to put where and everything. Caroline is saying, don't you just love a challenge? Sadly, a lot of people don't realize the impact of paper. That's what you just said, I think.
Yeah, that's what I wanted to say.
Yeah.
It has to be, in my opinion, it has to be a mixture. Like everything and everywhere, you have to take care that you should not focus only on one thing. Mono is never good.
Yeah.
So that's where the challenge is, and still it means that any account manager or anybody who's working at the moment in the industry has to be aware that lots of questions are coming, that you're really updated with what's happening. And I'm very pleased that Decorabs is really focusing on this thing.
Yeah, that's really a focus point. And what Willie just said, BOPP plastic is recyclable. I think another big challenge is, you of course know that BOPP is recyclable. Willie knows, people within the industry maybe know it. But for the consumer, it's just another plastic. They don't know all the names and things, and they just see it as plastic. And I think that's a big challenge as well.
It is. But honestly, I mean, a company like Decorabs or me or whoever is working in this, we are of course not in the position to teach the end consumer. This is something which has to happen working together with a retailer or mass market or florist chain or whatever, to translate the knowledge one side has and tries to give it to the other side. So it's a give and take in knowledge transfer, more or less, and that's a challenge at the moment, especially if you are not only working in one country, but if you have to focus on several other countries in the world as well.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, every country has its own regulations, and while in one country you can put it in a normal bin or a recyclable bin, in another country it has to be in the other bin. So I think in America they don't have the problem because they don't know where all the bins are for.
At least they are for waste.
That's, in one hand, it's the easy way, but it's not the way to go in the future, I think. A lot of growers are struggling at the moment with plastic sleeves, green sleeves. I mean, England is very ahead of being green. I mean, they are talking about the flower foam as well. There is a big anti-flower foam organization that they don't want to use flower foam. Of course, now the industry reacts with biological flower foam. So that's things we need to react on, and every country will follow. And I think the trend going on now, people going back to nature, they have got more interest for flowers and plants. They will also demand an environmental friendly packaging.
Yes, it does. But second part, you have to keep in mind that all these things cost money.
Yep.
And that's where sometimes the problems begin, because you can have the target to be as sustainable as anybody, as nobody else, and you have to work on environmental areas. But the moment you have to say, well, but at least it's 10, 20, 40% more expensive, then everybody, at least the retailers, get back and say, wow, that's a challenge then. So what has to be, and that's my deepest feeling for that. If they are going in this direction, there has to be an added value at the end. So more or less the price can be increased, the sales price. That's the most important thing. If everybody believes that you can buy a paper sleeve or a bio LDPE sleeve and you can sell the product at the end for the same price, this will not be possible, because then no longer any grower will survive.
Yep.
So we have to be aware that using more expensive materials ends up in higher sales prices.
I think that shouldn't be a problem. If you look at fruit and vegetables, the biological fruit and vegetables are more expensive as well. I think it's the way to communicate with the customers. Like, okay, this is biological. You can choose for it, but it has a slightly higher price. They succeeded in the fruit and vegetables. So.
Yeah, but that's a challenge.
Yeah, another challenge, I think, that's Harold is saying, the combination of paper and plastic in one sleeve is the worst development, as they can't be recycled.
Yes, you're right. It depends on, of course, the material of the plastic that you are using. There was a development where we said a farmer's market type sleeve, which means it's a craft paper on the backside and a PLA on the front, was supposed to go into the compostable thingy. That's no good, because normally it's not the idea that we have. So it should be torn out of apart. That's nobody doing. So. No. But that's valid for all the materials. As long as you are mixing up different materials, you're always in the problem that, or you have the problem that you cannot recycle it together. Yes.
Yeah, that's a difficult thing. I think we can also do a lot already directly from the grower. They are packing them by 5, by 10, things like that. All the sleeves around the orchids, while there are 12 trays in one, or 12 plants in one tray, why don't we wrap the tray instead of all the plants? I think that's there can be done a lot as well.
Yes.
And like you already said, the packaging also can contain a lot of information about not only about price, but when it's packed, when it's until when it can be sold, but also about if it's a biological packaging or not.
Yeah.
And Harold is agreeing. He said not when they have been glued together. So no, like you said, nobody's tearing it apart and separates it, or maybe 1 in 1,000 is doing that. But it's not the way to go. People are by nature, they are lazy, so they're not going to do it.
Probably not. No.
Yeah. So can you tell us a little bit more about the presentation that you have there, because it looks really great.
Yeah, thank you. I mean, at Labs, we are really trying to be on this trend side, and where I said already, those are mainly short-term trends, of course, if you're talking about patterns and patterns. So our designers are really working long time ahead. So we are at the moment talking about winter 2021. which means they are, of course, visiting the most important exhibitions. They are also in the furniture industry, and they see what colors and materials are used for those.
Yeah.
Then we are coming from these trend mood boards. We are working a little bit step by step further down. That means we are then making mood boards for items that we can use. For example, have some seasonal trend boards, or we are having events which we are figuring out, or year-round solutions. And then we are coming to the product. So we are breaking down more or less these kind of trends into products.
Yeah.
As we talked about already, of course, the paper trend is at the moment the most important thing. And even if we are not happy to have only paper solutions, and we will always have plastic ideas as well, we have to serve the customers with several paper solutions. That means the moment we are talking about waterproof ideas for potted plants, for example, like bags or covers or so, we are trying to work with laminations below 5%, because these are in several countries allowed to put into the paper recyclement. These are solutions that we are really now using, like simple paper cups. They are waterproof, so you can take them home and everybody can use them. They keep the water for far too long. And it's a different. I mean, if you just sell a pot like this, or if you sell it with a cover like that, you have a gift immediately.
Yeah.
And you can put it outside on the terrace, on the balcony, and your pink kisses option is well served as a gift at that moment.
Yeah.
Of course, we do have bags and several ideas as well for potted plants. And for the flower solutions, we are at the moment having our new lines for spring and summer next year, those Mother's Day and Valentine ideas. And there we are also having either paper solutions or paper combined with, at that time, BOPP, because this is still requested.
Yeah.
It is requested, we have to do something like that. But the greatest development we made is with real paper sleeves. So for the start, we only had simple unprinted paper sleeves. Then we moved to paper sleeves being printed on the inside. And that was the greatest idea we had for a long time, because the moment when somebody is buying a bouquet, of course, he does not look from the outside. But normally, if they are in the presentation in store, you just look on them into the bouquet. So there you can bring back the color, and you can have several colors, of course, like pink or yellow or green or natural, of course, as well. But still you have the idea, give the idea that there is still some color in this natural look and feel. Because if you do see some stores who are now using only paper, at the end you get a little bit bored.
Yeah.
Every time it looks the same. So this is our new elm sleeve, which we are having now, and we're very pleased that it is hopefully on stock in a few weeks with the colors, and then we can really serve that. The same with our cocktail rosettes, which are the first time ever, it's a more or less full paper rosette solution.
Yeah.
Which is only colored also on the inside, and we can have that if we're doing custom-made solutions. We can also print a price or an EAN code on it. We could do so. So there are several options that it can be used easily, and we hope to get rid of the solutions where people are selling in store those bouquet holders with plastic around. So that was that.
No, and it's great. And I mean, you can print everything on it, so that makes it interesting as well, and you can continue with the trend for a long time.
Yeah.
And later on you can of course do much more things, but I already got some ideas what you can do. Peter is saying I love the sleeve shape. It really.
Maybe this one.
I don't know which one he means. But he will tell us, I think, in a second.
No, he's from the industry, so he knows that this is a sleeve. So otherwise, he would have asked for the bouquet holder.
Yeah, that's true. Maybe he can use it for his new bouquet line. He introduced the bouquet line. That one that goes perfectly in a shipping box. Yeah, that's true.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's also something what we, of course, always have to think of. I mean, we can have the nicest packagings, the most voluminous ideas, but at the end, we have to break down how it can be shipped. And
Yeah.
that's, of course, a restriction we always have to keep in mind. And that's where it's also important that you're working together with the grower or with any supplier, that you take care how many can they put in their boxes, how many go in the bucket. So this is always an interaction you really have to take care of, that you are
Yeah.
not only just selling something and are happy that you had the highest price, but you always have to think on everybody from the beginning to the end, that you're really thinking in the total chain.
Yeah, I think the paper sleeves is a good solution for a lot of florists as well. I mean, especially during the busy periods. You don't have to do all the wrapping. That takes a lot of time. Take
Yeah.
the paper sleeve. It looks very natural. It looks handcrafted, and you name it. And it's a great way to save a lot of time as well.
Yes, that's of course. I mean, that's the main factor for the florists. They are making beautiful bouquets. Happy if they calculate everything in this bouquet, and that it normally stops at the where the packaging begins. And I think these are all options. Also, these bags which are waterproof, where you can really say, "Hey, it looks like a real florist bouquet, but you're not spending five." If you ask a florist, they never spend more than 5 minutes. Usually they spend 10 to 15 minutes on the packaging. So
Yeah.
calculate that in your bouquet, you have to add 15 euros at the end normally. And
Yeah.
that's not what they are doing. So they can save a lot of time. It always looks equal. So even if you can pack something, but there are guys who cannot pack a bouquet or wrap a bouquet. Everybody can do it. So
Yeah.
there are several options they can have.
Yeah. I'm right. I've got two right hands. Only I'm left-handed, so I'm not the great packer in bouquets. So Caroline is saying, do you think florists, shops, or boutique vendors should think or do differently to mass market operators, or learn from them and copy with a twist?
Well, I think we have to learn. It's not the florist. I think we, as a supplier, have to think of two lines. So it's our job. We need to make a difference, because, of course, a florist gets unhappy the moment he sees his packaging in a retailer.
Yeah.
At a retailer. So that's what we're doing for now. We are trying to divide up, separate those lines, a florist line and a retailer line, name it like that, by using the same techniques, but adding just some simple items or materials, so it looks more florist-like.
Yeah. But also, as a florist, you should consider it as a compliment when you get copied. And you should also be thinking, okay, I need to do the next step, because otherwise you stand still. People will copy you, and they will be in front of you as well. So it's time to move on. I mean, we've got the same with Flower Circus. If the moment I see somebody else is doing it, we just move on, because that's been done now. We introduced it. We have to go further.
Yeah, but that's
I mean,
with everything. I mean,
yeah,
you have to try to be one step ahead. And normally, what I think is our job, my job, also for DecoWebs, is trying to think one step ahead, having a kind of rolling system, that the florist line is always one step further and the retail is following, and then you always have one step after the other. It's a rolling system. That would be, of course, the best.
yeah. And Caroline, let's be honest, as a florist, you can be creative. People are creative with flowers, with leaves, making different shapes of leaves. So if they got a standard sleeve, they should do something with it as well, or be able to do something that it looks a little bit different than in the supermarket. In the end, we're also using more or less the same flowers.
Yes, we are, and I think the florist has to focus on the things he's able to do, and that is making a beautiful bouquet or a beautiful plant arrangement.
Yeah.
And then he should use or take all the help he can get to make the best out of it, without spending too much money and losing margin. So that's, of course, important.
Yeah. Yeah, money and time. I think that's the two most important things. Like you said, if you look how much time it takes to wrap a bouquet, And let's be honest, if it takes 5 minutes to wrap a perfume, but a perfume will cost €100, if you're wrapping a bouquet for 10 minutes, which will cost you $20, I
Oh,
think we have a problem.
you should rather stop it.
Yeah. And it's actually not only the wrapping, sometimes there are florists who don't calculate the leaves as well. So
Well,
let's
that's
hope.
a comment.
Yeah. Actually, you were telling that yeah, you're looking for the trends. You got a lot of mood boards coming up, and then you come up with the designs, I think. Is that right?
Sorry, I didn't get it. We make
Okay,
them
you
from those designs.
yeah. So
Um,
like
exactly. These are the first mood boards our designers are making, taking together from wherever they go around the world. This is the Green Ritual one, where we are more or less having at the end for every season we are ending up with 5 to 6 mood boards,
yeah,
and then of course the kind of extract what you are really, because you cannot have everything. It's a kind of extract. We're also using that when we're going to customers, visiting customers, to give them all the information we have, especially when they are doing their custom lines and packaging.
yeah.
And then they can pick out and grab whatever they need. And it's, of course, always still a very personal decision every buyer makes with the packaging.
Of course. I mean that's and also depending, of course, on the retailer, which price class, and things like that. Uh, about the trends, of course, this is all already, yeah, I think, but I'm more into the flowers, way ahead. Uh, how does the whole COVID-19 change this?
That will be very interesting. I mean, what we've seen for the last century, I would say, is that all the trends, which are most of the time coming from the north to the south, um, have shown us that we had a development from very bright colors to soft colors. And psychologists have always told us that the moment an economy is running well,
Yeah,
colors get softer. And an economy which doesn't look or doesn't work well, colors are brighter. So we have, for a very long time, we have seen on the one side the development of colors in the eastern parts
yeah,
of Europe, and we've seen it in the southern parts. So Italy and France were quite bright colors. Also, the eastern part of Europe were quite bright. And we expected that the colors would now, the better the economy was in those countries, would also soften down. That's what we've seen.
yeah,
COVID-19 is something, 19, sorry, COVID-19 is something which may bring us back to brighter colors. So we have reacted very fast, honestly, because next to our paper sleeve solutions, which were all soft colors and very, very really soft pink, soft green, mauve colors, whatever, we started adding these slightly more brighter colors on the sleeves as well, because we
okay,
think it will come back. So this is already a kind of reaction on COVID-19.
yeah,
Say we don't know how the development will be. I mean, up to now we are very lucky. Also, our industry. I mean, those first weeks were terrible, but Mother's Day has, in Germany at least, never been as this year. So we see a kind of cocooning effect. People are trying to make everything nice and beautiful at home. They cannot
yeah,
travel, so everybody tries to take care that some flowers are in the surrounding. So I think it could be that colors may come a little bit back next to all these soft toned natural colors.
yeah. I think also what we've seen is there's been sending a lot of bouquets to the people we couldn't visit. Just we're thinking more about other people, caring more about other people. There's probably also going to be a trend that we're going to send just for you bouquet or something like that.
Yeah, exactly. I think this is, of course, in Germany, we did not have that many restrictions. Honestly, yeah, we had some, but it was not as bad as it had been in Italy or France or so. So we are really blessed because we have a very good health system. We were allowed to go outside, even if we are having to wear masks now. So
Yeah.
if there is more than three, normally I should have this mask now on.
No, we've got more viewers, but you can do without the mask.
But I mean, you're getting used to that. So I think the development is that our industry has a huge opportunity at the moment in really thinking of gift solutions, because that's for many people the only thing to show their beloved that they are still thinking of them. And
Yeah.
we should use that. We should not just say, well, it's a nice period, but we should learn out of that, that it means flowers are a part of our life and they are the most beautiful thing we can give to somebody.
Yeah.
And emotions and really work on developing far more in this direction. Yeah.
Yeah. And like Peter is saying, it's the most affordable gift out there, the flowers.
Depends, of course, in which country you are.
Yeah. And on the bouquet, but
It is, and I'm always saying it's not the most affordable, but it's the most beautiful thing
yeah.
to somebody else. And I mean, everybody of us knows. I think if you're working in the industry, you hardly get a gift like a bouquet because everybody believes that you have so many flowers at home.
Yeah.
So, I think we are really in the good position at the moment that flowers have a high impact on the total situation worldwide.
Yeah, I think so as well. I mean, there's a renewed interest in flowers and plants, in homesteading, in doing things ourselves. That's great. We don't know yet about the holidays, but probably a lot of people will stay home or will not go far from home.
Yeah.
So that's going to be for flowers and plants, I think, also a great trend. It's the only way. We need to keep the trend and mindset in the people that they keep on loving flowers, and next year again will buy the amount of flowers that they did.
Yeah.
Is there some other things you see going on in terms of sales, packaging, or what you expect?
Now, sales and packaging, I think we more or less touched everything. I would say I still think that there is one big opportunity in our industry, and this is what I've been doing with Peter Landmann for a long time already as well, talking about scent
Yeah.
fragrance in our industry. And if we have seen or listened to what Joey has been saying about his garden roses, this should give another pop up for everybody to think about what can we do to bring back the scent into our industry.
Yeah.
And there we have in my opinion, a huge opportunity to gain new people, younger people as well. Not only working with scents that are normal, like a rose has to smell like a rose, but it could be that a rose smells like Davidoff or whatever, and thinking completely vice versa. So
Yeah.
there is a high potential, in my opinion, as well.
Yeah, I think I agree. I mean, flowers are people think of scent when they see flowers. It doesn't matter which flower they see, they will start smelling them, even if it's cabbage, but they will still smell. But I think that's a huge opportunity that we until now missed.
Yeah.
As I can say, maybe somebody's doing it already a little bit, but or some people. But there's a huge opportunity next to the packaging, of course. New designs, new things, cross sales as well. I mean, I think I already talked a couple of times about the delivery is quite good at the moment of food. Why not combine or work together with a restaurant?
Yeah.
And say, okay, a romantic dinner for two with a dozen of red roses. So you can combine.
Here with friends who are having a kind of event greenhouse, name it like that, and they were of course not allowed to serve anything. and they installed a kind of delivery shop for their goods, for their vegetables and fruits and all these things, and worked together with a florist.
Yeah.
The florist shipped out the bouquets together with the groceries, and it works pretty well. So these cross-selling things are, of course, they have always been, but at the moment they are far more important. Yes.
Yeah.
And there are lots of opportunities.
Yeah. Actually, we had a lot of mood boards. They are also, I think, in the brochure of Deco Reps, if I'm right. The mood boards. So if you visit the website of Deco Reps, you can see them as well. All the mood boards for the coming period. I think it's very interesting to see what's coming up. I mean, of course, for the breeders who are working 10 years in advance, yeah, that's a little bit too late to see this.
Yes.
But still, it gives an idea of where it's going. And I think what I learned with all the conversations with all the people, and that I start to realize now, is that, okay, we're talking about a new thing, or people are going to change. But I think everybody's more or less settled now what's going on with COVID. But once everything goes open, we're going to change again. So there are a lot of things that's going to change the coming period. Some things will stay, of course, but others will go back as well.
Yes, I think so too. But still, I hope some things that we have learned in this period will remain, that we take care of each other, that we take care of our families, beloved neighbors, whoever. That's one thing which is, I think, is extremely important. And the other thing is, of course, that there are things happening in the world where we can do nothing.
Yeah.
We have to deal with it, we have to handle it, and have to learn from it. And I think if we can take this out of COVID-19, then, yeah, maybe it's some positive is the wrong word to use it in that way, but maybe it gives us an idea that some things we can change, some not, but the ones we should change, we should do. So,
yeah, that's for sure. A bit off topic, but Cookie is asking, what's your favorite flower?
Hydrangea, honestly, hydrangea and tulips.
Okay, so yeah, we had actually a great show on Wednesday. We've been shown around at the hydrangea grower. It was unbelievable, the sizes and everything. So it's also in Aalsmeer. So if you're close there, I suggest to have a visit over there, because it's great.
Yeah. So we'll do so for sure. Yes.
Yeah. Is there anything I forgot to ask, to tell you? Is there anything you want to add?
No, I just want to say thank you.
Thank you for joining.
And I think we are in touch. And if anybody likes to get in touch with me, there is, of course, the opportunity I would look forward to.
Yeah. You should do a flower fashion show with your taste and creativity. That's what Peter is saying.
Yes, Peter. I mean,
yes, sir.
Well, Peter and me have a very special friendship. You know, we know each other for more than 20 years. We have spent nice evenings, days on exhibitions. We have been building up booths for several companies, also in Colombia and wherever. So, and we've made nice jobs with a photograph thing in the northern part of the Netherlands. So we've been doing quite some things together already.
Yeah.
And, I'm going to do anything, Peter, if you're going to join me.
Yeah, so Peter on the catwalk. I'm sure he will. So Caroline is saying, fascinating, learned a lot. Thank you so much. Thank you for watching again, Caroline.
Thank you.
Actually, I've got some news as well. Next week is going to be the last week that we do the daily Flower Circus talks. After that, we're only going to do it on Friday. I mean, everybody is getting back to work again. Yeah, needs to work, of course, as well. What we will do it every Friday, every first Friday of the month. We will have a Flower Circus show. So the online show, this Friday, the 5th, it's going to be with Michael van Namen. And after that, we're going to do the interviews like we're doing now, just with some with floral news. So yeah, people have to go back to work. I understand that, and of course, with Flower Circus, we have to prepare again as well for some new ideas, new fantastic shows when we can travel again. So yeah, hope to see you next week. We've got a great program. I'm not going to say everything yet, but we're going to see some peonies. I think 300 different varieties of peonies. It's peony season now, so I think that will look great. So yeah, hope to see you next week. Have a nice weekend. Birgit, thank you again for joining Flower Circus. Hope to see you again.
Sure.
And have a nice weekend.
You too.
Thank you. Bye bye.